Hi there everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. This one is an older page that I came across in my photos and realised I hadn't shared here on YouTube. So I'm playing with some Natalie May scrapbooking collage papers and got a couple of pages in this journal that had some leftover paint on. I think I'd actually been playing with some gesso resist for another class that I was making. And I just thought these would work perfectly with these collage papers for a couple of journal pages. Right, did you notice that there? So that was me sticking the image on and thinking, okay, she's going to look green because of the blue on the background. So quickly going in with some white, and then I am going to stick that down. So the next mistake to not make is then use the same brush that you've just used with the white paint to stick your collage paper down. Managed to not do that, so that's good. Okay, so I've got my first image down. I'm going to be creating a journal page that works over a couple of pages here. So I'm just kind of burnishing that down with my fingers as well. That just helps to get rid of some of the bubbles and make sure it's stuck down really nicely. This is a stencil I designed for Natalie May, these lovely hearts. And I'm going in with, that looks like malachite, it might even be peacock. So I'm keeping the colours analogous at the minute. And this is just going to help to blend that collage paper onto my page. This is another stencil that I made for Nat. This one's got 4 different sets of marks on it. And I just went in with another colour there. So then I'm using the Stabilo oil pencil and I'm just outlining that face. And of course the palette pastels, my favourite way to add a little bit of gentle blush to the cheeks as well. So then I'm going in with a bit of stamping. This is a great way to just help your collage images feel more grounded on your page, just by adding a little bit of stamping detail over them to overlap with what you've created. And then here I'm just scribbling out a bit of white Posca pen, going in with a little bit of white on another one of Nat's stamps. These are great because they kind of stick to your fingers as well. So if you're not wanting a definitely brilliant stamping impression, you can just use part of them by sticking them to your fingers, which is really good. So I've been really intrigued by Mel Robbins on Instagram and her let them theory, and I've kind of been reading about it and thinking, yeah, this is a really great way to try and think about things and shift the way that you think. So that's what these journal pages are about. This is an Artex paint pen. You can get them fairly cheaply on Amazon, and they work really nicely. They've got a brush tip at one end and a little bullet felt tip sort of nib on the other end. And you can kind of play around with the different thicknesses of your writing. So one thing that I often like to do is to actually make my writing deliberately go onto my image. I say deliberately, sometimes it happens because I run out of space, and sometimes I think I'm just going to write on here because I can and I need the space, and actually it looks fine. So think about where you place your writing, which direction you have it going. All too often I keep my writing going in one direction. It doesn't need to. You can do it any way you want. So then I'm adding another collage paper onto another page, and I'm just going to stick that in using some gel medium. But of course, first add some white onto the colour just to push that back, so that doesn't affect the colour that comes through the collage paper. I'm just blending that edge out because I've gone a little bit far out there. So here I've got a piece of Dina Wakley Transparency, and I'm sticking that in using some washi tape. Washi tape isn't permanent and it isn't the stickiest tape you can get your hands on. So I am, as you can see, using some double-sided tape underneath just to help that stay in place and mean that that piece of transparency is going to be very firmly stuck down. So while I was doing that, the white paint had dried. I was able to stick this collage piece in the other side. And adding that transparency between the pages kind of breaks it up. But now I'm going to start adding in some more colours. And it looks like I'm using Neo Colour 2s and scribble sticks for this, so sorry, that's my head. You can tell this video is old because still got straight hair. And of course now I haven't. So I'm kind of doing my, like what I call my hundreds and thousands technique for colours, and just adding little blocks of colour in there, using these water-soluble pigment sticks. I'm just going to pull those out a little bit. It's going to help to blend the edges of the collage paper, and because they're water-soluble, if I use a water brush, I can go in, I can move the pigment around. If there's too much, I can blot it while it's wet, and then that way I can lift some of it off the page as well. And now Dina Wakley has released, since I did this page, the clear gloss. Of course, you can do backgrounds in scribble sticks, spritz with the clear gloss, and then you can work over the top of it. Absolutely brilliant. It works really well. Okay, so then I'm going in with this number mask. This is from Natalie May as well. And I'm using a nice lilac-y colour over the top of this. I think this is Dina Wakley Media Iris. Love it. I love it. It's one of my favourite colours. And I've said before, I know I have, like, I love purples and pinks. I don't really wear a lot of purple and pink, but in any case, that's fine. Adding more layers of stenciling. So this is raspberry. It's starting to look really pretty. I'm liking how that's coming together. And of course, some stamping. Just building those layers on my journal page. And then again, I'm going in with my writing in a similar place to how I did the previous page. And then that is how I know that these pages are going to work together, because you can see the similar way that I've written them when you look from one page to the next. Again, more about the let them theory. If you've not come across it, you can find Mel Robbins on Instagram. She also has a podcast. She might not be everybody's cup of tea, but a lot of what she says makes a lot of sense. This in particular. So again, I'm just kind of writing some thoughts on here, getting that journaling in place. And then I'm actually cutting out the letters freehand here, just let them. And I'm going to add those to the transparency. So I'm going to add them on. You could use Dina Wakley Media, the glue, the white glue, but I'm just going to staple them in place. I think that's what I do. Yeah, it looks like it. And obviously here you've got to think about how far you can get your staple to reach across the page. Because of the transparency, so I can't kind of put these smack bang in the middle of my page. They're going to have to go where I can get my staple to reach. I don't mind using staples on my journal pages. I think it's worth saying that just go and push the backs really flat so that you don't catch yourself on them, because sometimes they don't always lay down completely flat and they can be a little bit sharp. So yeah, that's both sides of the page done, and then I've got my transparency in between, which is reflecting the theme of the page and kind of just creating that rest between the two pages. So there we go, a really simple but fun, effective art journal page, just to get you thinking about the direction that you do your writing in. It doesn't have to be horizontal across the page. You can do anything you want. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again soon.